That's why music in the past was so much better than music today, y'all. The artists are humble, they didn't have major egos, and they were able to put things aside for the greater good. Welcome back, y'all, to the DeAndre Way. Make sure to subscribe as well. We back covering the greatest night in pop on Netflix. It's just premiered maybe like a week ago, I think. And this I call it documentary was lit. I mean, if you're a music fan, you'll love it. If you don't really care about music, this ain't for you. But it had the greatest of the greats, the biggest of the big, the brightest of the stars in one building at one time. This does not happen very often. Maybe it's like once in a lifetime thing, essentially. You know, they don't do these type of things anymore. They've only done this type of thing a handful of times. This instance, when the women music got together, like it was Beyonce, Mariah Carey, Rihanna, Miley Cyrus, etc. years ago for this other don't I think it was cancer. Women I think it was breast cancer awareness or something like that. And then they had another one with a bunch of women stars when Oprah got them together, and then the men got together, like the men of R&B, I believe, late '90s or early 2000s. There was a bunch of them together, but this kind of stuff does not happen. You don't not get to see it just because people nowadays, you know, they have beefs and they don't want to get together in a room because they got things going on and this, that, and the third, and there's just there's no rallying cry with somebody that can lead the charge at this point, just because everyone has, you know, to my opinion, inflated egos and whatnot. But before we get into it, y'all, make sure to, you know, subscribe and join the Patreon if you want. We got some new things coming out in there as well. Like I keep saying, new things with Squid Game, people popping up, telling you what they up to nowadays. Updates going on with me, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Check it out, y'all. It's only a measly $5 a month to support your boy doing his thing out here. But y'all, we gonna get into it. The greatest night in pop. I was definitely looking forward to seeing this because as a big music fan that I am, this was like music to my ears. And it was lunch, breakfast, and dinner with some dessert. So this gets started with all the artists meeting up in the studio. You know, it talks about, you know, we see Lionel Richie, Bruce Springsteen, Smokey Robinson, Gladys Knight, Diana Ross, Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, Tina Turner, etc. A whole bunch of the AS tier listers up in the building because they're doing this thing for Africa and showing, you know, basically showing support for Africa because, you know, especially in the 80s, I mean, even before that too, and nowadays, you know, there's a country with, I think, the most, I don't want to say the most, I'm going to say this wrong. So apologies if you're watching this in Africa. But they got the most stuff going on. A lot of disease, famine, people, you know, starving. It's a lot of stuff going on out there. And the black artists in America, especially, want to really start it out. You know, Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson, Quincy Jones, Stevie Wonder, and Lionel Richie. They're the quartet that kind of push this thing forward. Mostly, I guess, starting with Quincy Jones, and then and other people. We'll get to that. We'll get to that though. Those are the four quartet that are like the names that are leading the charge per se to get this together. But definitely, it's for a good cause. You know, feed the children of Africa and whatnot. And I'm down for it. You know, I mean, good cause. All the proceeds going to that with the music, the song that they're gonna make. So couldn't ask for nothing more. But yes, all the legends are in this and putting this on a world stage so everybody knows what it is, and it's basically gonna become an anthem. And if you don't know nothing about no music, like I love 80s and 90s music are my favorite types of music by far. Like I could listen to it. I do listen to it every single day in and day out. And it's good for the soul. I think if you need that music, your soul is gonna be it's gonna thrive. It's gonna grow more. I mean, I got good skin because I listen to the music, man. Like I I need it to survive. It feeds me and it feeds everybody. So if you need some good music, turn on some Bruce Springsteen, some Smokey, some Michael Jackson, and get it on and popping. Some Tina, come on now, it's good. It's soul food. But yes, they only have one night to do this thing, and you know it's happening now or never. You got to get all the stars under one roof. and they decide to pick the night of the American Music Awards. So they start out with the prologue that's getting everything set up and whatnot. And yeah, that's what they get set up with. But yes, it starts out with Lionel Richie sitting in the confessional chair, as I call it, and he explains that in the early '80s, he was the lead singer of the Commodores. If you don't know who that is, look them up; they're amazing. But that's where Lionel Richie started, and yes, he said his songs are he eventually left the group and did his own thing, but his songs are more famous than he was, and so he stuck his face next to all the good songs and all the good singles that they had to really get him become a household name. And one night, he says he received a call from Ken Craig, that changed his life and changed everything. December 23rd, 1984, Ken Cragen, I said Ken Cragen, Ken Cragen ran a talent management company, and he was a very good reputation. Now, Ken Cragen, he's definitely a legend in the game. He ran the talent agency, and he was a personal manager to many musicians. Trisha Yearwood, Travis Titt, Donnie West, Kenny Rogers. Those were the main ones. But yeah, he was the dude that everybody went to get the lowdown on what's popping and what's not popping. And yes, he called Lionel Richie, and Craig Cragen was, they say, just as much as a superstar as an artist was, but he was a superstar in the business of music. And it was an unplanned meeting, and he was greeted also by Harry Belafonte. Now, if you don't know who Harry, look, I'm not the biggest Harry Belafonte. Um, I'm not the biggest Harry Belafonte expert, but I know, like, this dude's a legend. So he was an American singer, actor, civil rights activist. He was with Dr. King at some meetings, and he popularized Kalispo music. Very many international audiences. I've seen some old movies of his. I mean, I'm an actor, so inspiration, of course, but he definitely he's definitely a legend. And he recently died last year, actually, in New York City, April 25th, 2023, and he was 96 years old. But he was a goat in the game. Like, he was standing by everyone. A good dude, made good music, made good movies, in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Like, if you don't, I don't know if they have a docu series or a documentary or a biopic over him, but they need to have one if they don't. Because Harry Belafonte was that dude. But like I said, I just know these things because I looked them up. I'm not the biggest not source of knowledge because of Harry Belafonte, but I know who he is in general. And I don't know who Ken Cragen. Some of these people I didn't know who they was. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not gonna cap to y'all. I didn't know. But yes, Belafonte was high on poverty, high on knowing the knowledge and helping out the poverty going on in the world, and he was high involved with the civil rights movement, as I mentioned earlier. And yes, the poverty in Africa was rapid, and people were dying at an insane rate. Harry Belafonte suggested doing a concert to have the proceeds go to that to help out the people. They're saying the people of Africa in general, but I'm sure more specific than that when it gets down to it. But they're just speaking of Africa as the continent. But yes, they say a Band Aid single was done earlier, and Harry told Lionel that he needed him. Harry said that they needed black folk saving black folk, not just white folk saving black folk. I like that. See, look, I understand that, like sometimes, we depend on the black people, we depend on white people too much to kind of take care of our problems for us when it comes to Obamacare, when it comes to Medicaid, when it comes to other issues, especially other things in other countries that we need to step up, especially this. I'm more so talking about the celebrities, that they have the efforts and the money and the resources to do themselves. Oprah. I'm just gonna say Oprah. That's the only name I'm gonna put out there because she's the one with the bag. And I mean, it's not her responsibility. It's not anyone's responsibility. But as a people, it just looks like the right thing to do to help other people. I'm sure everyone in this world deserves to have a fair chance in life, and if you have the resources or something to do it, help him out. And if you're helping out another brother, a fellow brother, a sister, and you want to, even better, even better. But yes, Lionel was very busy at the time, but he would do the Band Aid concert relief thing as long as Quincy Jones was involved. And as soon as Quincy says yes, then Lionel said, I'm down for the cause too. And so once they got each other, they're like, okay, we got to start recruiting people to do it. We need to figure it out. And so initially, yes, they start thinking, who can we get up here to help us out, and who can we, get to do it. And the first thing they come up with is Michael Jackson. Now, if you don't know who Michael Jackson is, you might need to turn the podcast off, Coach. Turn the podcast off. Go Google, then come back here. I'm gonna give you some time to do that. All right. Time's up. Michael Jackson's a legend, man. I don't even know where to begin. The Jackson Five, started out very young age, major pop star, world icon, the best musician ever, the best artist ever. I'm gonna say musician, best artist ever. Nobody can top him. The top of the top, the creme de la creme, the cream of the crop. You get Michael Jackson, anything is possible. So that's all I got to say about that. But yes, they eventually get Michael Jackson to come on board. And, he was the first one to get in contact with the biggest pop star of the 80s and the 90s. And Michael and Lionel bonded over being the lead singers of their groups, the Jackson Five, the Commodores. They knew each other for a while. And then Michael and Lionel soon started writing the song without Stevie Wonder because they couldn't get a hold of him for a while. Now, look, Stevie Wonder, I know Stevie Wonder, of course, but he's like a diva apparently, and he's on his own time. I mean, he's blind, and so he running on Stevie time. Stevie does what Stevie want to do, and it was just funny because Stevie's just kind of his own little world in this whole entire thing. But I like how they. It's great that Lionel Richie is the narrator of the whole thing. I enjoy that. He's a good dude. Um, Michael Jackson, of course, has passed away. Stevie Wonder, I mean, he's old as hell right now. I don't know if he could do this. Anyway, he probably couldn't get a hold of him to do this too. But we see Lionel Richie be the storyteller, and Quincy Jones. He wasn't. Was he in this? No, I don't think he was. Was Quincy Jones in this? I don't think he wasn't narrating at all. I think he did. I think he did a little bit. I'm trying to remember. I watched this like 2 nights ago, but yeah, he wasn't. He wasn't this a little bit. But anyway, Lionel Richie's the main narrator. Okay, he's the main narrator. But yes, Michael and Lionel came up with the song. They're figuring things out and whatnot. And they said, hey, let's just not limit this to black artists because that's limiting ourselves. Let's limit it to all artists because then we can get the full reaching capacity. I love that inclusion with everyone, making it seem like I hate when things, are separated. Oh, that's black, that's white, that's black people, that's white people. Like TV shows like Friends and uh, Big Bang Theory. Like black folk don't watch those shows. And so I like when things can get meshed so it's for everyone, and that's the biggest projects I feel like are can be out there and whatnot, and that'll make hopefully society become more conjoined as well when they see it on TV or on a screen. It's a long road ahead for all that to completely take shape, but hey, little things can help that happen. But yes, they have to get all the artists on the same time frame. They're figuring out names and whatnot, and they're beginning to build a list now. But before that, they're trying to figure out when they're going to do it. And soon Larry Klein pops up as a producer. Ken Cragen calls him to get all the celebrities on a song. And they like, when are we going to do it first? That's the first thing. You got to figure out a time and a date. They said, what about the AMAs? And they're like, well, if right after an award show, do you think they're going to be up all night to do that? I'm like, we have no other choice. Like, we can't just do it any other night because that's when a lot of them are already going to be there. So let's just do it that night. And so they start thinking of names, and one of the first names they come up with is Prince. Now, if you don't know who Prince is, get off the podcast. All right, you off? All right, cool. Get off the podcast, look him up. Prince is the legend, the GOAT. Michael Jackson is 1A, Prince is 1B, in my opinion. They're neck and neck, right up there, mano y mano. And it's they're legends and they're goats. They're my two of my favorite artists. I have a Michael Jackson poster. I need a Prince poster soon. So definitely. And yeah, but they're trying to get Prince, but Prince is also difficult. They're trying to get Madonna. She was difficult. She was really popular at the time as well, but she was difficult to get. And shit, but and they try, they're naming names like Sidney Lapour, Bruce Springsteen. They got them too. Um, but Bruce Springsteen was finishing his tour the night before, so they were like, I don't know if he can make it, this, that, and the third. But he knew he wanted to do it because he knew famine relief was important. And that's Bruce Springsteen as well. I'm gonna keep saying this, y'all. Look, if you don't know, get off the podcast because these dudes. If I could play some of their music over this right now without getting copyright infringement, I'd be doing that the whole episode. Cause I love me some Bruce Springsteen too, man. That means the GOAT. I mean, I was like a kid in a candy store watching this thing, just seeing all the names. And he just I only can imagine if I was actually in the uh, born in the 70s to actually grow up with the music and whatnot. But it was lit. It was lit for sure. But then we say, Drew Springsteen says normally he wouldn't have done it, but he knew it was very important. And the next thing, the person they get is Bob Dylan. In the mid 80s, they say it wasn't the best time for him. They don't get too deep into it, but he's still committed to do it. I'm not a big Bob Dylan guy, but he's a legend as well. So then they find out David Bryan and Van Halen weren't available. Kenny Loggins was the next one they recruited by Michael Jackson. Not hugely, I know Footloose, but that's about it. um, but legend as well. Lionel Richie and Michael Jackson thought they had more time on the song, but they realized they need to split up because, now they figured out that they're getting more people on it real quick, like Billy Joel, Willie Nelson, Tina Turner, Huey Lewis, Paul Simon, Diana Ross, Ray Charles, like the list goes on. They eventually had 47 people on this track. I won't go through all the names. I'll just go through the names that was mentioned in the documentary per se, but you getting the cream of the crop right here. But yes, they soon get the song together. They know they need to find a majestic melody, kind of like a Super Bowl, like or a national anthem type of song, where people can just always know it. It's not out there. It's very kind of simple and a good message. It's a simple song per se. Like the song is not critically acclaimed. It's not a critical song. Like it's not that type. And but it's just like a safe, nice quality song that everybody can sing, no matter what age, gender, demographic, etc. And they found the location. A&M Studios was the location they wanted to do. And when they're in the studio writing the song, Lionel Richie mentions this pet snake Michael Jackson has. Like we all know Michael Jackson has a pet monkey, and Michael Jackson has a pet snake. They really didn't need to include this little story, but hey, they're just trying to add. I think that was a waste of time to add a little snake story in there because he's like, oh, Michael Jackson had a snake and it just popped up and scared me, and then nothing. Kind of silly to me, but it is what it is. But yes, they wanted to keep this from happening. They wanted to keep this from getting leaked to the press as well. They were emphasizing because if that happened, all the artists would cancel. They're not going to deal with paparazzi, and they need to keep it quiet. Now, easier back then than today because of Twitter and Instagram. Like things get leaked all the time. That's another reason why I don't think that could happen today because it would get leaked. Like people would post it on Instagram and people would subtweet things and then people would find out. And so I don't think paparazzi is like it was before, but maybe it could happen because the paparazzi isn't the same. So it wouldn't be like a horde of people, But if you got today, like Beyonce, Taylor Swift, Rihanna, uh, Usher, um, Bruno Mars, like all these big names to do a song together, it would be even not better, but just as amazing. I mean, you still got some big names out there today to do it. And definitely, I think I would love to see that. So I hope this inspires them to do something kind of like that again because it's a once in a lifetime thing. It's the only time they ever did something like that, those artists together. But yes, we soon find out that this guy named Humberto Garcia was asked to be the engineer of the project by Quincy Jones. And soon they get the track laid down. So Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson, Lionel Richie, and Quincy Jones finish up the song. And it's simple melody. We are the world. Ba, ba, da, 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 na, 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 na. And soon, yes, back then they had cassette tapes because that's what they were recording on. They sent out this cassette tapes to all the managers and all the artists across the whole northern hemisphere per se. And yes, they knew the song was going to be a hit. All these artists on it, good message, quality. Now they just got to get all the bits and pieces and the metrics of the things, the logistics of the project, set it out to where they can finish it or get people together first. And that's the first phase of the plan. Smokey Robinson loved the song. Kenny Loggins said it had a memorable chorus, basically saying like it's okay, but it's nothing special, but it's memorable. Like he low key kind of dissed the song a little bit, but he's like it's all right, I'll do it. Springsteen thought it was broad, but it had to be with that many artists. Once again, low key dissing the song, sneak dissing. They're in competition. They see Michael Jackson. They're like, oh, this guy again to take all awards and all our women and all our fans. But hey, they can't say no to the king. But that's gonna be your head. But yes, the location was blacked out on the letters because they didn't want anyone to find out. And, they're figuring out the vocal arrangements so each artist is going to do with this artist going to fit there and this artist going to fit here. So I think a total, the artist that had solos was maybe like 24 ish. 24 artists had solos. If that, that might be reaching it too. But not everyone got a solo. So half the artists there weren't going to get solos. So that's where they really had to put their ego aside for the greater good. Some couldn't, or a few couldn't, a lot could. And so, what was also a concern? Yes, who was standing next to whom? Some artists back then, everyone has beef. You can't put, Michael Jackson next to Prince. That ain't gonna work. That just ain't gonna work, coach. So you got to figure that out. That's definitely a thing. It's like going to a wedding and you can't sit, your stepdad by your real mom, or your real mom by your real dad if they're divorced. That just ain't gonna happen, coach. So you got to get opposite sides of the wedding room. And Lionel thought everyone was gonna come in and record in the booth individually and then leave. And I was like, Quincy's like, nah, that's gonna take 20 million hours to do. So we all gonna do this together, which I thought was obvious, but Lionel Richie is not a engineer. And so soon it is January 28th, 1985, the day of recording. We meet some, so throughout this documentary we meet random people inputting their little things, like a lighting guy and then a sound guy and then just random people who were there, which was kind of cool to see because they get to hear, like, be in the scene and really get the behind the scenes scoop on what was really going on, and they give their 2 cents on what it is. I'm sure they had to sign some NDAs and they were in there, but back in the day, like, look, they didn't know what it was going on, and they had to do this for free too, by the way. So you're in the room with these millionaires and legends, but you're not getting paid. I mean, look, that's just what it was back in the day, man. That's another reason why today, like, people would be complaining and like, I need my money, blah blah blah, like just random nobodies, and somebody would pull their phone out and take a picture and post it on the internet, and it would just be gone. So it would be difficult, but yeah, that's what time they was on. And soon, Dionne Warwick said she was called by Quincy Jones, but first she said she won't be there because she'll be in Vegas. However, she later fixes things because she gonna take care of business if it's for Quincy Jones. Stevie Nicks was in Philly at 2 p.m. the day of the event, so risky as well. Springsteen was in Buffalo and the weather was pretty bad, so everyone had these travel issues, but they all eventually made it work. The ones that said yes. And so Lionel Richie actually, so this night when they were doing the recording, the AMAs was, as we said earlier, and he was hosting it, which I didn't know. So he performed twice, swept the awards. He won 6 of them, and yeah, he's doing triple duty: hosting, performing, accepting awards, doing the whole nine. Kudos and props to this dude. And that's why he's a stand-up guy. I've never really heard anything bad about Lionel Richie. His music isn't my favorite, but I like the dude. He's quality dude, stand-up guy, and a good humanitarian. So we also meet Sheila E. Sheila E. is in the documentary, and she's not completely well known. I was like, I know who Sheila E. is just because I like Prince, but he was she was his drummer, and they had like a thing going on a little bit here and there. But yeah, she mentions that the Prince versus MJ rivalry at the awards was going on at the awards at the time because they were both nominated for the best single. Wind Doves versus Cry versus Thriller. That's a tough one. Which one would I pick? Thriller is like I I mean it speaks for itself, iconic, you know. But When Doves Cry, that's an anthem in its own right, and Doves vs Cry eventually won. But man, that's tough to pick. If I had to pick one song for me, Thriller is like if it just depends on the mood because you got to be able to dance with Thriller. Like Thriller, it's like a Thriller, Thriller tonight. Doves Just Cry is like a kind of not slow song, but more moderate tempo. Baby, you will my affection. I have engaged in a kiss. But I'll take Doves. When Doves Cry. I keep saying Doves will cry. When Doves Cry as well, just because I feel like that can cover any type of mood. Where Thriller is kind of like a certain type of setting when I'm trying to listen to it. So Prince should win that one. Lionel knew it would be great if they could both come together, but they know they have this little thing going on, so it's going to be difficult. And then Prince got to lower his ego. Michael don't care, but Prince, you know, he's always feeling some type of way. Prince, they mentioned his bodyguard. So they add these extra stories in there that really don't have much to do with what's going on. I just think they needed filler. Um, but he had this big bodyguard named Chick and would follow him around. Didn't really do anything to the story. Michael Jackson was not at the awards. He was practicing at the AMA's venue. And we got a lot of BTS of Michael practicing and whatnot. And, you know, you hear Michael Jackson practicing, like, that's amazing. Like, we get a snippet of him doing the song by himself, warming up as Michael Jackson esque is, getting perfect in it and whatnot, because he's just that dude. And original Michael only wanted to write the song, we found out, but then, you know, he was talking into performing it as well. And that would be a sham if Michael wasn't on it, because it's like you got all these stars and Michael was in the room, but he didn't want to do it. That would have been a huge mistake on his part. Huge. Like, I'm shocked. I mean, you know, Michael Jackson doing a million things at that point, and he had a bunch of things going on. But you got to do this, man. You got to do this. That's like, I mean, I was about to say use a Pro Bowl reference, but that's not a good reference. But you get what I'm saying. That's like Michael Jordan not showing up to the NBA top 75 players ceremony a couple years back. Like Michael Jordan's the best player, and you're not going to show up. That don't make no sense, but he does it. And soon we see Cyndi Lauper come to Lionel during the award and said her boyfriend heard the song and doesn't think it will be a hit, so she's not going to do it anymore. And I was like, what? You're a boyfriend? What is your boyfriend? I don't know who her boyfriend is. Maybe he does know about music. But that was just ridiculous. I mean, her boyfriend said it wasn't good, and so we can't do it. And she runs to him and says during the award show. And Lionel Richie's like, hold on, time out, girl. I don't care what he says. You gonna show up with your red and yellow hair, all right? I don't care what's going on, but he can stay outside in the car and wait. So he checked her real quick, and he made sure that she showed up anyways. Um, but yeah, that was interesting. Kind of. I don't listen to Cyndi Lauper at all. I know she's something for songs. Girls just want to have fun and whatnot. But it was it was weird. It was really weird. Sorry, I'm just like trying to think like why that was just weird as well. But soon Lionel told her it's very important and you definitely should not miss it. Period. And before, you know, when the award show was done, Lionel, or I don't know, someone put a post-it note on the door saying, check your ego at the door. As I was saying earlier, these artists are at the top of their game. They're at the top of their genres. They have millions and millions of fans to each of their own right. And it's only going to work if we all kind of just put the put the heaviness down for ourselves. And I mean heaviness as in like everything that we're carrying. Like all the ego has to go out the door and we have to just be people, not the person. It's a team effort right now. It's a team effort. But soon, yeah, Lionel Richie also tells the media that they were recording the song after the show's over. They're in the press and like, oh, we got the song recorded tonight. I've just been thinking about that all night. So I thought it was a secret, but he tells the media, which was kind of like, I thought it was a secret. And then other artists start talking to the press about the song as well. So is it a secret or not? So that's the questionable part. I was like, huh? Huh? Anyway, they skip over that. But yeah, soon all the artists jet over to the studios after the award show, and we find out Dionne Warwick did make it over, and the cameraman is included in the documentary, and he gets his little segment, and he was the one filming them singing and then walking in as well. And every the award show's over, Lionel gets there and he's like, okay, who's actually going to show up? And when you come to a party, you invite people to a party, everyone says yes, but when it comes down to it, not everyone shows up. That was the dilemma that they was dealing with, and it's a big one. You can't just you're dealing with A-listers, and they got a million things to do. It's the night after an award show. There's parties here. There's people are tired, want to go home, but then you got like more work to do per se. So who wants to go to work after an award show? That's that check your ego part, but we'll see. But soon they all begin arriving. Kenny Loggins, said it was the cream of the crop showing up. Bette Midler was there. I was like, oh, Bette Midler? I didn't even know that. So if you don't know Bette Midler, she's known more for theater, I'd say, but Hocus Pocus, etc. She's been in a lot of things. Christina Brinkley, not really familiar. Kim Carnes, not majorly familiar, but heard of her. But nobody except the artists were allowed in the recording studio. No agents, no assistants, no bodyguards, no nothing. And so the artists, when they got in there, they didn't have their posses with them. It was explained that they were kind of timid and it was quiet. I mean, these artists usually have the people speak for them, and when you have somebody backing you and you have your posse with you, you feel a little more boastful and you feel like more powerful. When all that gets stripped away, what do you got left? And these artists have been, at the height of their games, most of them, to where it was really kind of like, whoa, like just other people in here. There's nothing else. So it would have been like putting people in a room and not having your phones nowadays, I compare it to. But yeah, everyone was like kind of sizing each other up a little bit, to a point. Some people were fanboying, fangirling out. But then everyone started talking, and Lionel Richie compares it to the first day of kindergarten. Like people were giddy and excited and shell shocked and starstruck, and it was crazy. The stars are in all of the stars, and it was a really cool thing to see. I mean, like I said, I want to see this again, but it's very, very unlikely. But yes, soon, everyone's talking. Quincy gets everyone in order, and he brings out Bob Geldof, who was the inspiration to everything and inspiration to this project going on. And he gives a speech to remind folks what is actually going on and what this is really about. People are dying. There's diseases. There's famine. There's some serious issues that we're here for a reason. We're here to help, and we have a job and human responsibility for this. And so everyone's like, okay, that kind of zoned everyone back in, dialed it back up, and it's like, all right, let's get to work. And so everyone is explained to you that everything will be sung in unison at the start, with the start of the choruses. That's how it should be done. When you do music rehearsal, you always want to do the group stuff first because you can do the solo stuff. The solo stuff don't take that long. Group stuff does take long because you got to harmonize, make sure everything sounds right, good together, and whatnot. I've been in plays, musicals before, and that's how it always starts. Very common. So everyone starts practicing together, and it sounds amazing. I mean, it sounds like they all were ready to go from the get-go. But I think it says the first time we see the clock, it says 11:30. So I'm assuming they started around 11. And they need to move fast because it's just after an award show. People have been drinking, people have been partying, they're tired. Like, it's time to go. But it's 11:30 p.m. I'm like, wow, they're going to be doing this for a minute because they're just doing the group chart starting first. Whew, they better do one take. But yes, the pressure was on to get everything done that one night. Quincy says when it gets to the high parts, the artist that can sing it stay in, everyone else just drop out. He's like Michael, just do it like Michael, basically. I'm like, damn, bro, you really making these people hate Michael Jackson? I know they was hating that night. They're like, look, Quincy, if you say that one more time, I'm about to call my bodyguard up in here and show you who's really like Mike. All right. But yes, Bob Dylan soon gets singled out and says he knows he's not a singer the way Stevie Wonder is because he's just not. Bob Dylan looked like he don't want to be there the whole time. He just like there. I don't know if that's his regular demeanor. I am not a Bob Dylan fan like that. He just looks like a just a kid in the corner who's kind of scared to go out to prom and dance. Like he just this the whole time. That's what it looks like. I don't know what's up with him. I don't know if he took something the other that night. I don't know if he's drunk. I don't know what's going on, but he's just there like a zombie. Um, but yeah, he ain't no singer like Stevie Wonder. And apparently he was the most uncomfortable person there out of anyone because his just range is kind of flat per se. I've heard some Bob Dylan songs, but it's nothing insane to me. A great legend, like I said, this is not a Bob Dylan bashing fest. We're not here to stomp him out for you Bob Dylan fans, but he just looked a little out of place per se. His name was there, but the aura wasn't. And some singers are like they couldn't hit the high notes, so they just had to, sing along quietly, or as they said in the documentary, suck along quietly. Tension soon was coming into the room to the process. It was taking time, the lights and whatnot. People aren't were used to working in big groups like this. These are mostly all solo artists, and it was late, hungry, tired. You get it. We're used to getting 5-star treatment, and they get treated like the chorus members. So it was definitely people got humbled in this moment, and they were shooting the video at the same time in the song, and Lionel Richie was trying to keep everyone together. He says, one he did say a really positive quote that I will keep with me is one line you should never use in life is, "I'm not sure about this. What do you think?" Beautiful thing. I might write that down and put it on my wall. If you're saying, "I'm not sure about this. What do you think?" You're deferring the question and putting the responsibility off your shoulders onto someone else instead of making a decision and standing on that. It's like, where do you want to go out to eat tonight? Well, I'm sure. What do you think? That means you really don't care. That makes it sound like you could give two shits about what's going on or what you're going to do. I'm not a big fan of maybes. When people say maybes or I don't knows, I don't accept those answers. I'm like, say something because you're just deflecting because you don't want to have any responsibility on your shoulders. And I don't like that. So I'm with Lionel on this. He's standing on business and saying, y'all need to be 10 toes down on this and solid as a rock. So definitely love line for that. Like I said, there's 47 artists, so it could get hectic with too many questions. So it's kind of like, look, this is what we're gonna do, point blank in the period, and we find out it's 1:30 now. Stevie Wonder suggested that there should be some Swahili in the song. I was like, Stevie, come on now, bro. Swahili? I know what you're trying to do. I get it, but come on now, bro. Like we got some time. People got the song written already. You're trying to change stuff. But then again, he was the one dude in there who was just like had all the time in the world. Like, he was just la di da di da di da. Hody, 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 ho. Heidi, 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 hi. Like he was all over the place, but he was keeping everybody light spirits per se. But then this guy Waylon Jennings, I don't know who this is either, says, "Well, no good old boy ever sang Swahili. I think I'm out of here," and he leaves. He walks out the building. I was like, "Bruh, really, Waylon Jennings?" Mm. Well, I hope they took him off the credits because he said, "Nah, look, I get it." On his point of view, he's like, "Look, bro, this is not what I'm doing. I'm rocking with them, certain type of folk who don't even rock with y'all in the first place. I can't be. I'm already getting in trouble for doing this song. Let me step out of here because I'm not about to be singing no African songs, okay, or African words in these songs. That's not what direction I'm going in. So I get it, but bruh, come on now, not a good look, Waylon. Not a good look. But yes, Waylon exits the building. And soon Bob Geldof brings things back by saying we're singing to the people with money to give. We're not singing to the African people. We're singing to the people who can donate the money. So like let's speak English or maybe Chinese or Japanese or something that's not Swahili. And Stevie's like, all right, I guess you got a point on that. They ain't got no money down there. That's what we really doing it for is the money. And so people are getting tired and cranky at this point. Smokey Robinson soon speaks up to Michael about what should change because everyone was a little nervous to speak up. So Michael has to be that voice of order and reason because he's the one with the most clout and he's the one that people respect whatever comes out of his mouth. Now it's 3 a.m. The chorus is finally done, and Harry Belafonte soon starts singing Daylight Come, We Want to Go Home. It lightens up everything. And during the break, Ray Charles plays We Are the World on piano, and he's leading like the practice sessions and whatnot. And it's funny because you have this one part where it says Ray Charles soon leads Stevie Wonder to the bathroom. It's like the blind leading the blind. That was good. That was good. That was a funny little moment. And during the break, Ray plays "We Are the World" at piano. Ray, oh, no, I said that already. And soon, it's time for the lunch break, I suppose. And everyone orders Roscoe's chicken and waffles. I was like, man, that sounds pretty good at that hour. I mean, look, the junk food is the best at late at night. And they said they were drinking at the same time. So, I mean, it sounded like work, but like a party at the same time. And it was a mix of everything. I've been in, if you ever done theater and you've done a tech run and you're starting and stopping and starting and stopping and starting and stopping and you're there all day, you get a little delirious at times. But that lunch break really kind of gets you back together and whatnot because it's just a lot of nothing because you're trying to get little things in order. Like, you got the sound, you got the lights, you got the production, you got people working on their parts, like a whole bunch of things. So it's definitely taking some time. On the break, Diana Ross goes ask Daryl Hall for his autograph, and then once she did that, it was the can of worms open up for everyone to start asking everyone's autograph, and that's when people at this point they've been together for a few hours. At this point, they really start opening up to each other, and that was really cool to see the human part of all the artists. And a lot of us see artists as like these iconic figures that are more than human, but at the end of the day, they are human. They're one of us. And that was really cool to see kind of the vulnerability they showed in this at all together and act like little kids again. It's beautiful. We all can relate to back to being young and idolizing someone, and we just want to be in the room to talk to them at the end of the day. And they got to do this with each other. Beautiful sight to see, I'd say. And I wish we got more of that part, just the raw footage of it. But then Prince soon gets a call from Sheila E. and they talk and she says, it's pretty cool. You should come down here. And Lionel calls Prince and says, you should still come down. It'd be nice for you to come. Like, we got you on the list. And Prince is like, I ain't gonna be there. And Sheila E., she's like, look, y'all are using me to get Prince here. I see what's really going on. So stop playing with me. Y'all already didn't give me a solo part. And Prince ain't coming. It's just me. So what we gonna do? So that's the closest they could get to Prince getting Sheila E. And she felt a little slighted. So yeah, she felt some type of way, but it is what it is on that. I mean, she's not a big star like Michael Jackson, Elton John, Bruce Springsteen, none of that. She's Sheila E. And only black folk really know who she is for the most part. And Prince fans, only Prince fans really know who she is. But the hooks are done now, and it's time for the solos. And Huey Lewis soon takes over Prince's spot because Prince didn't show up. And so Michael Jackson's helping him with it, which is funny because we've all seen this clip on the internet with Michael Jackson, Huey Lewis, Cindy Lepore, and this other woman. And Michael Jackson's like singing circles around them, and they're just like not it. And he's looking at them like, your job rehearse. Funniest clip ever. But Huey Lewis said he was very nervous, and the first run through the piano is when people finally heard what the song would sound like because they're doing their parts and whatnot. And now it's 4:40 in the morning. Stevie was nervous, but happy, go lucky the whole entire time. He said Quincy Jones is trying to get it done because he's starting to get a little cranky and tired, and he's raising his voice at folks and snapping at them. He's like, "Look, y'all don't want it to turn 7 a.m. and 7 a.m. and we still here, or else y'all really gonna see the black side of me. So don't do it, all right?" He's trying to keep it clean and together, but he's like, I've had it. But the solos start, and that's when things kind of finish out and whatnot. And it's cool to see everyone's solo parts and see their unique, distinct voices isolated with all these other people. And really, it's kind of compare and contrast. Like, wow, like you sound great. Oh, you sound all right. Like you sound better than I thought you did. It's really cool. So you can really, the creme de la creme rises to the top, and we really see who's got that life. And you can hear if you listen to the song who's really hitting those notes. They granted it was early, so knowing that it was this early in the morning makes sense on why it didn't sound perfect, like the record in general. Like who records songs at 3, 4 in the morning? Rappers. And I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, they're getting everything together. Everyone's getting their parts in and whatnot. And it's funny, this guy named Al Jarreau was drunk. I'm not familiar with Al Jarreau either, but he was messing up his part. He was slurring his words. He was popping bottles before the show even started. And he sings real funny. Sings real dramatic. He's like, "And I can tell you," like he does the most. And I'm like, bro, chill. This is not church. He does the most when he sings. But yeah, Bruce Springsteen sings next, and he sings real raspy. Oh, and I tell you that. I'm like, ooh, bro, Bruce Springsteen was killing me in this. And so was Al Jarreau. That was probably my favorite part was them two singing back to back because they just so different and just so dramatic in their own ways. But they both kill it. Michael Jackson sings next. Michael Jackson, followed by Huey Lewis, Cindy Lauper, and Michael Jackson's, like I said earlier, sounded so much better, and then they followed him. And it's good to have transparency in this because that's what we telling was really going on. And here, as it was early in the morning, therefore, that's maybe why, you know, Huey Lewis sounded the way he sounded. Now he didn't sound bad; he just sounded a little rough. And Cindy LaPorte, she just sounded a little rough, not bad, just rough. But it was just funny because Huey was stressing out about it, and Cindy Laporte's a mess, and MJ's just looking at them like they like, yo, I told y'all to be ready. I told y'all to be ready, but y'all ain't ready. And yeah, Cindy Laporte has this moment where she has like there's this strange noise, and she has like a million bracelets on her arm, a million chains like bracelets around her neck, and that's what's causing like the mic to sound all funny. So she takes that out and fixes it. Now it's 5:30 in the morning. Everyone is done except Bob Dylan and Bruce Springsteen's part. And so they finish that line with their ad. They're doing the ad libs in the part, and Bob Dylan don't know what the hell ad libs are. It looks like he's like okay, like Smokey tells him, or not Smokey, Quincy Jones tells him, okay, you're gonna do the ad libs. All right, and he just sings along with the chorus and what everyone else is doing. I'm like, bro, that's not what ad libs are. You're supposed to do like Amigos effect. If you don't know what ad libs are, it's like we are the world, we are the world, under the child. Da, da. It's like the echo, and you add something to it. Like, we are the world, yeah, and we are the children. Hell yeah, like that's how it is. And Bob Dylan was just like, huh? We don't do this in my songs, coach. So Quincy Jones helps him out, as well as Stevie Wonder, and they get him together. And it's finally 6 a.m. Bob finishes. It's now 7 a.m. Springsteen finishes it out. And he said his voice wasn't the best because he just got off tour, but he did the best he could. And it sounds fine. And yeah, that's pretty much where it ends. At the end, as you know, you get a little details around what's going on. The song wins a Grammy. It sold a million copies in a week. And since the song came out, it raised over 160 million USD in profits to Africa. And a good quote that Lionel Richie says once he's done, because you know, you get a little empty feeling. It's kind of like when you go on a school trip or you go to a camp and you leave and you feel empty because you're not around all your friends anymore. I compare it to like Squid Game. You know, I get home and I miss it because it's not because I didn't win. It's because I'm not around all my friends that I get to wake up every single morning and get to see and have a good time with. And so I definitely understand the feeling of, you know, semi loneliness when you leave it and like what a moment that was, even if it did kind of suck, but we sucked together. Like it sucked together, so that made it better. And Lionel Richie says, enjoy coming home because home will not always be there. Beautiful quote as well. There's some jam quotes in this thing. Oh, if anything away, take away some of the quotes. You know, we don't always like you don't always know what you have until it's gone. It's kind of a similar saying. And you know, he does the interviews in the room that they filmed it in. So when he's in the room, he's like, everything comes back to me. And a lot of people have died that was in there. Michael Jackson, Harry Belafonte, Ken Krogan, Ray Charles, James Ingram, Al Jarreau, Anita Porter, June Porter, Kenny Rogers, and Tina Turner. They're not there, and they will never ever get to be back in that room again. So enjoy the people that's always been there, y'all. That's kind of how it ends. Nah, it's easy watch, very easy watch. Nothing too crazy about it. I'd give it a seven and a half out of 10 because it was quality. It was good. I feel like everyone knows this song. Everyone's knows like the story to an extent. This gives a lot of backdrop and backstory. I wish they included more raw footage from it, from just the casual conversations. I wish they included more interactions that we never would see, like maybe Michael Jackson talking to Tina Turner, because in the 80s people didn't collaborate like they do now, or Janet Jackson talking to, or Diana Ross talking to Bruce Springsteen, or Huey Lewis talking to Al Jarreau, like just little things like that that I wish we get to see in conversations. I don't know if they were allowed to put those on there because, there's a disclose, but I just wish we got to see more of that because they were filming this whole thing, and those casual things hit more than just kind of seeing the song sang because that's obvious what they were doing in there. But yeah, y'all, it was quality. I'm a music fan. Love seeing this. I'd watch it, and again, casually. But yeah, that's what I think of it. That's my review of it. Good movie. Good movie documentary, and nothing too crazy about it. But I had a good time watching it, y'all. But thank y'all for joining me for this recap of a night in. Why am I messing it up? Thanks for joining me in the greatest night in pop. It was quality. I liked it. Not the best thing I've ever seen. Easy watch, very easy watch, but a good thing if you're a music lover. And I'm a music lover, of course. I use a lot of music references here. Y'all probably know at this point, but thank y'all for joining me again. Thank you for joining the DeAndre Way. Make sure to subscribe for more reviews over new movies coming out, TV shows, films, etc. And you know, we gonna keep it popping. We gonna keep it moving. We got some more good stuff along the way, per usual. Remember those quotes, y'all. Those quotes hit real hard, and I'm gonna make sure to write those down and put them somewhere I can see them every day. And thank y'all for joining me as well, and have also a good rest of your day.